then we have a powerful sentence here. An absolute supernatural darkness falls on man sometimes when he draws near to God. An hour comes when fail all nature's means. Forced out from the protecting ignorance and flung back on his naked primal need, he at length must cast from him his surface soul and be the unguarded entity within. That hour had fallen now on Savitri. An absolute supernatural darkness falls on man. That hour had fallen now on Savitri. Well, I mean, he's describing in the context of this was the day when Satyavan must die, and Savitri is preparing for that. And when she is meeting that particular day, there is a kind of a total supernatural darkness falling on Savitri. Savitri is unaware of what to do, how to move. She is clueless in what manner she should do things and all that thing. She is totally clueless actually. And it is a kind of a darkness. Means she has no idea what to do, in what manner to do. But then when she is in that state of indrawn concentration, suddenly the divine voice comes and guides Savitri. Savitri, wake up. Remember why you have taken birth. And then she starts a yoga, finds her soul, and then prepares herself to meet the day of Satyavan's death. Death. An absolute, you see, this is an absolute supernatural darkness, not an ordinary darkness at all, you see. When draws near to God, sometimes when he draws, man, when he draws, well, he must be an exceptional man. It is not for me and you. He must be really an exceptional man. Savitri is an exceptional man, or the mental being, man in the sense of mental being. And therefore, it happens only for the exceptional men. In other words, Shivandu Savitri is actually not for you and me, it is for Savitri herself. You see, he is describing the story of Savitri, and the entire description is for her. It does not directly apply to us. We might get some clues, some hints, something here and there, but actually the entire factual description is for the Savitri which is there in the Savitri, you see. An absolute supernatural darkness. Now, on man when he draws near to God. Well, before we come to that, let us take this line. An hour comes when fail all nature's means. Nature is helpless. Nature can't help you at all. You are meeting a supernatural darkness against which nature is helpless. And therefore you can't really get the help from nature at all. Then where from? Either from your soul or from a source high above. From a source, either from your soul or from a source high above, you see. It is from there only you can get the proper help. Nature is totally ineffective in the context of the supernatural darkness, you see. Now, in 1945, I think it is 1945, let me check. Yeah, in 1945. Shivandu wrote this line on a chit pad. See, in 1945, he was not really writing anything. But then he used to mutter something, and then Champaklal was very clever. He knew that Shivandu is muttering some lines on Savitri, and therefore he used to give him chit pads for writing something. And Shivandu used to scribble on small square pieces of paper like that, you see. On that piece of paper, he wrote the line, "An hour arrives when fail all nature's means." An hour arrives when fail all nature's means, on that chit pad in 1945. Now, when Nirodbaram copied this line in his square copy ledger, He wrote it, an hour comes when fail all nature means. Shivandu arrives has become comes in Nirodharan's copy.
Why did he do that?
Pardon?
Why did he do that?
Well, it happened. He saw the sense and who kind of wrote it down. See, he saw the kind of sense. See, I mean, he's writing. Well, he must have definitely wrote arrives, but when copying, something happened to his mind or whatever it is, he wrote comes. Now, naturally, the revised edition restores Shivandu's arrives in the final 1993. So, in the revised edition, we have got an hour arrives when fail all nature's means. But there is that, but that is not the end of the story. That is not the end of the story, you see. Although Nirodharan miscopied, so to say, the line from that thing, Shivandu made number of changes in this passage while dictating. And while dictating this passage again, revising this passage again, Shivandu heard or retained Nirodharan's comes. He did not dismiss it. He was quite comfortable with comes. He retained it because there are changes now in the entire passage. So now the sanctity of the original arrives on a small piece of passage which was not revised, gets kind of diluted to some extent. And therefore, because Shivandu has revised it, has accepted comes as it is there, he doesn't find anything wrong in comes, you see. So, the question arises whether we should restore arrives for comes or keep comes. The editors of revised edition, they prefer to make it arrives. I would say when Shivandu has heard it, Shivandu has accepted it, Shivandu has passed it, Shivandu has revised it, then comes has acquired a kind of an authority, kind of a sanction, and it is not once. She writes in the fair copy comes, the typescript is read out to Shivandu with comes, the proofs are read out to Shivandu again with comes. At every stage, comes is retained. So Shivandu's sanction is there for that comes, although it may not be originally his. Now, at the same time, comes has a certain kind of, what shall I say, connection with some of the early. You see, this line Shivandu wrote not for the first time on the chit pad. He had written in his earlier manuscripts also. And in the earlier manuscript, it was comes and not arrives. While Shivandu was writing on the chit pad, he made it arrives, but his own earlier manuscript had comes. So now whether that comes with the repetition of all these revisions, etc., should be retained or it should be changed to comes, that becomes a question of debate to some extent, you see. But still, I will say, well, before we say something about that, see, if you read this line, an hour comes when fail all nature's means, you had to take this hour here disyllabic for the sake of meter. The hour comes, when fail all nature's means. You followed? Means hour has to become disyllabic here. Now, this is not very unusual in Savitri. Hour is at times used as a word with two syllables, hour. In fact, the mother recites it, it was the hour before the gods awake, very clearly you see. So it can be taken as a disyllabic word also. In fact, many times Shivandu uses certain words like desire. Normally, most of the time we say it is disyllabic, desire. But sometimes Shivandu says desire, three syllables. Conspire, inspire, three syllables. Although they are taken generally as disyllabic. So in that sense, the English does allow hour to become a disyllabic word also. So with the disyllabic, meter becomes an hour comes when fail all nature's mean. We have got I am, spondy here, and nature's I am. Now, in the case of the arise, there is no question at all. Arise means it becomes now an hour comes Well, an hour arrives when fail all nature's may. An hour arrives. There is no question of meter at all. You can take hour in that case both monosyllabic and disyllabic. If it is hour is monosyllabic, then an hour arrives when fail all natures. The meter is free. If you take it as disyllabic, then an hour arrives. The second foot becomes an anapist. I am anapist, etc., etc., like that you see. So that is from the metrical point of view. So I think, as far as the meter is concerned, this line can stand as it is. There is no difficulty about that thing at all, you see. Now the other thing is, you see, now we are talking in the context of an absolute supernatural darkness falls on man sometimes when he fails, when he draws near to God. Well, that is a statement. And then he is clarifying it further. An hour comes when fail all nature's means. An hour arrives when fail all nature's means. Now you see the difference in sound. The quietness with which comes, is lost with arrives. An hour comes when fail all nature's means. An hour arrives when fail all nature. It is a kind of a little emphatic, jarring, so to say. The hour is coming quietly, without making noise, so to say, quietly. And therefore comes is that way a better word than arrives from the point of view of the construction of the line. An hour, see, it's too dramatic. An hour arrives is a little bit of a dramatic, a forceful kind of it. Whereas an hour comes when fail on, it is sort of natural, see, in that way. So I would definitely go for comes. An hour, you don't agree? You see the point? You see, when an hour arrives, when fail all nature's means, you see, it is a little, the different kind of a rhythm, a different kind of a sound effect, you see. When fail all nature, with an hour comes when fail all nature's means, that alliteration of am here and am here is very powerful here, you see. An hour comes when fail all nature's means. Now that is as far as the meter is concerned here. Now, on man sometimes when when he draws near to God, the darkness falls. Do we have examples of this thing in the spiritual history of man? That nature's means fail when man is drawing close to God. Well, there are a few examples in the history of nature. In the Gita itself, we have got Arjuna. Arjuna has lost his spirit of warrior, as a warrior. He has succumbed to some kind of a deprivation. There is a fall in his character and all that thing. Now it is that which has been, that is the hour when all nature's means have failed for Arjuna. And it is only Sri Krishna who could revive Arjunahood, his power as a Kshatriya. He was a necessary instrument for achieving something as far as Krishna is concerned. But the spirit of Arjuna has at that moment sagged. It has fallen there, and that is not going to help. So in the case of Arjuna, we have that specific example of his falling there. And then the Gita comes out, and then beats up his spirit, and is again here. So it is not nature who is helping him. It is the divine teacher, the divine guide, the divine friend himself who is helping him there at that point of time, you see. In the case of spiritual people also, there are moments when you are absolutely helpless, but then something suddenly happens. And the best example is, in our own case, the example of Savitri. Savitri is clueless. She does not know what to do. And she is fumbling around here whether she should do this, she should do that. Absolutely no clue is gone. And she is grieving. Tomorrow my husband will die. My husband is going to die. And she has no method of meeting that. She has no means of meeting that moment of his death at all. And then suddenly the divine voice comes here. Nature's means have failed. the divine voice comes and tells Savitri, Savitri, do yoga and that kind of a thing. And harbor my force in your soul and meet death. That is what Savitri told at that moment of time. So that is another example here we have got. The third example is, of course, the example of Christ himself, Jesus Christ. It's a very powerful example. He is on the cross and all nature sins have failed. And then ultimately he says, he, he gives up. Yes, yes, this is what he says, you see. And he gives up the ghost at the last moment, you see. The example of Christ on the crucifixion, on the cross, is a very specific example of nature's means failing. It is only God who can help him at that moment of time, you see.